All right, here we go. Mishnah Yud. We have in the bottom of our bathtubs, we have a silver ring that acts as a top of a drain, right? That's, I don't know what you call that exactly, that silver ring, but it's usually there's a screw in it which actually holds the plumbing underneath it together with the sink. But actually, that ring is less rigid than the ceramic or the even stainless steel thing, and can take a beating to it. Inside there, in the good old times, you had a plug when you made your bath. You took your bath, so you stuck in there a plug, and that's what plugged up your bathtub. That's how it worked. Okay, so this silver plate is a modern version of what we're talking about in our mission, according to many Mefarshim. They had a little cup, a little thing that was actually a receptacle that had a hole in the bottom of it that was wedged into the bottom of the mikveh, and that's how the mikveh would drain. All right, so let's read the Mishnah. That's the subject of the Mishnah. Now let's read the Mishnah inside. Ha'avik sheba merchatz. I don't know how to translate this word, but that's this item that we're talking about. I don't know what it's called in English, even the ones that we have. Anybody know what it's called? It has a name? That silver thing? All right. Anyways, if it's in the middle, and we'll discuss different sheetas, what does the words mean? It's in the middle, poisel. So then the mikveh becomes possible because of the lack of tahira or she'uvim aspect of the ovik. Min hatzad, if it's on the side, so then eno paisel. It doesn't paisel because we see the mikveh as kosher without it. I did not explain anything yet. I'm just reading. Mifneshu mikveh samach mikveh. It's like a mikveh of shov next to a mikveh of megashamim, and it doesn't become possible. Obviously, we're speaking about a mikveh of megashamim that has less than mem son. Divri Rabbi Meir. Chachamim oimrim im mekabeles ambati revius ad shelo yagio avik kosher. If the ambati is what we'll call the mikveh can have a revius of water before anything goes into the drain, then it's kosher. The imlav possible. If before there's any collection of a revius, it's already in the drain, which makes it into shov, so then the mikveh is possible. As long as the avik is makabel anything, so all of the mikveh is possible. Okay, that's the reading of the Mishnah. Now we'll try to learn it.
Okay, Jastro translates avik as a pot in the bathtub to which a waste pipe is attached.
I did way better than that. I think I did way better than that, right? I said it's like a cup with a hole.
No, he says it's there specifically to attach the pipe to it.
As I said, that's exactly what we have, and the water goes out of there into. But it doesn't need to have a pipe attached to it, because that's erroneous. It's irrelevant to our Mishnah.
It's relevant to our Mishnah. That's the purpose of that thing.
Yeah, I understand, but could it be if it went into open air also? It's irrelevant. The pipe aspect is irrelevant. It's just how it drains out. It's the drain. Basically, it's the drain. All right. I will just say that I told you about there's a mikveh that was involved in Chutz La'aretz. Right now, it's having some problems. So there was some kind of a plastic device at some place where the vacuum was taking up the water, and I wasn't sure really what it was made out of. And sometimes these plastic things actually have metal backings to them, and it disappeared. They got rid of it. Baruch Hashem. But that's a similar kind of thing to this avik that we're talking about. Anyways, so okay, that avik is pretty good. Probably somebody who had an art school Mishnayos would have a better translation than that. That, by the way, that Drastro is online, or that's you have your own one, parrots.
I have my own one, but that one was on my phone.
They have it online. They have it online.
It is online also.
Okay. Does it work better online than it does for real?
The same exact thing.
It's just photocopies of it. It can find it faster. It's all one volume then.
Well, I hope that you know the alphabet.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, I'm going to read the Rav because I think that's the simplest. Kli shahu mateches. It's made out of mateches meshuka bambati, and it's sunk into the bottom of the mikvah. Yesh bo nekev u'cheshem me'ambatia, when the water needs to be changed. So what do? They open up the plug that's inside the kli. Then they put a new water into the mikvah. Okay, so that's basically in English, it's a drain. That's what's going on. And obviously the new water that's coming in is kosher water. So our issue is only if the ovik is going to passel the kosher water that's coming in. And people, after they washed already with hot water, they would use the mikvah. Why is that? So technically what that means, that all the water flows on top of it. The water that goes on kelim makes it puzzle. So now we have an issue of why is it a kli? This device, I would say, it seems to me it's obvious, is permanently fixed in the mikveh, because otherwise it would be leaking from around it on the outside. Right? It has to be somehow or another. It has to be clayed in, I guess, or something. Cemented, and it has to be somehow attached that it's watertight. So why doesn't it lose its shem of a kli? That's a question which I'd like to ask at this point, and it should become just like a part of the mikvah. And one of the answers, I'm going to say over the night of Yehuda's answer, which I believe is a fascinating answer, at least as a good beginning start. So this was a kli beforehand. They made a hole inside of it. Now the hole that they made inside, normally if you make a hole in a kli, that would passel it from being a kli. However, this one, it was made a hole inside of it in order to put a plug inside of it. So when would I say that if I make a kli with a hole in it, it becomes ois kli? That's when it doesn't function as a kli anymore. But here, 95% of the time, it's going to still function as a kli, because it's going to have the hole inside plugged up. So it's halachically, we don't see it even when the hole is exposed as a kli with a hole, because it's a kli that has a plug. Did I say make sense?
Yes.
Okay. What a good start for the night. Okay. Shlomo, you with us? That's good with you?
The fact that you use it, or that you can use it, doesn't
as a receptacle. It's still can be used as a receptacle. So the fact that it has a hole in it doesn't bother us. Okay, that's okay. That's the concept. That's the concept. It says so. Therefore, being that it was a kli beforehand, and even though you made it attached to the mikvah, but it's still being used as a kli, so it may be that it's not mekabel tumah anymore, but the shem kli it still has, because it's still a receptacle holding things inside of it. Okay, that's a simple understanding of what's going on. So the water that goes on top of it are puzzle. Why? Not because they're Makabal Tuma, but because they're called that they're Shov in a Kli.
But when it's attached to the mikvah, that pula does not make it ice kli.
What mikveh is it attached to? We said a mikveh. This mikveh has less than our boim saw.
Well, I'm saying when they built it first, right? It was empty. It would have to be, if not,
I assume so. Yeah.
right. So I'm saying so I have a kli, and then I attach it. I haven't put any water in there yet. Now that it's attached, the pula of attaching it does not make it ice kli. That's what I was saying, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. We're good. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, so we look at it as if all the water is nigrorim on top of it. Why is that? I'll just say right now because it's centrally located. What does that mean? Centrally located. We'll discuss that a little bit more in a minute. However, if it's minatzad, eino poiso. If it's on the side, it doesn't passel it because we don't see it as being centrally located, and we say that the water isn't all nigrorim al gabo. What I just said right now was 100% lumdus. Has nothing to do with mitzias. Yeah.
Does sod mean on the bottom to the side, or it means on the wall?
Machloikis.
Why did I think you were going to say that?
I don't know. But I just would like to tell you something, Sheffer. I don't really understand why one should be better than the other. I will explain why it is, but
It's made for the water to go out through it. So what's the difference?
right, yeah, okay, I'm on your side. And not only that, the water is going to go out. You know, there is no real difference where the thing is. It will drain the same.
Yet
So
yet the Mishnah uses the word tzad. Tzad must be there for something.
100%. I will answer the question. I said I will answer the question.
Okay.
But not only that, the Mishnah does better than that, because the Mishnah says the reason why the Rav says the reason why, because if it's be'emtza, we say all the water is nigrorim olav, and if it's on the side, all the water is in nigrorim olav. The Rav also was bright enough to know that if you pull the plug that's on the side of the bathtub, it'll empty out too. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. So obviously the word nigrorim olav does not mean that without it the water will drain out or not. Nigrorim means something else. Okay, that's why I said it's called someplace central. That's why I was very particular in the words that I used to describe the what's going on in the Mishnah. All right, we're gonna try to
Nigrorim when the plug is in, when it's closed. That's what it means.
Yeah.
Nigrorim when it's closed, not when it's draining.
Yeah. How do you translate? How does Drastro translate the word nigrorim exactly?
I didn't check, but you can look.
What does your fancy Mishnayos say, Yechiel?
I don't have English.
No, what does it say in Hebrew? I know what the word nigrorim means. I just want to know how they translate it.
1 second.
All right, we'll go weiter. Not that important. Anyways, the Chachamim Oimrim imekabela sambat yirvius achelo igia laovik kosher. If the mikveh can fill up with a revius of water before it gets to the ovik, then it's kosher. Now, I would like to share with you how some of the Achronim understand this, and I think that this is 100% correct, even though it definitely didn't have to be like that.
It says flowing.
Yeah.
Flowing, running, flowing.
Yeah. It passes over it. That's, the Goror Chulda. What does that mean?
Dragged it, no?
Yeah, it just means that somehow it's, going over it. Okay.
We have a garage, it's the tow truck.
Oh, yeah, I understand, but I want to know how they translate it here. I know what the word means. Yeah, yes. You see this?
Kilroy.
This is so the okay. There's the hole in the bottom where it goes out. That's the cup. So the cup, there's a little bit. I made a little bit of water on the sides. That in order for it to drain, it has to go over the lip. You see is it clear with my picture? I apologize for my lack of artistic talent. Okay, but understand what I'm saying over here? So when I learned the Mishnah originally, I assumed that the pshat was very simple. You have a mikveh and the drain is in the middle. So even if I would pour, let's say our mikvahs that we have today, I have no idea how big they are, but I can guarantee you I could put 10 reviuses of water in the mikveh before it gets to the hole. Because just the surface is big. So the puddle spread out. You could put a lot of water in there until it gets to the hole. That's how I learned the Mishnah originally. And I saw one of the Achrayim say that that's no good. That can't be. That's called that it gets to the hole before you have a revius. Why? Because that water is not contained. In other words, you have water on a puddle on your table, your dining room table, and you pour you spill some soda, so you have a puddle over there. Is that held in your table?
No.
No. Parents, are you masking?
Depends on the slope of the table.
I didn't ask you if it's there or not there. We're talking about when it's there, but that's not called being held on the table. So according to some, it has to be that the ovik has some kind of a height to it, and it means that there are walls of the ovik go up, and that causes that the mikveh can contain a revius. It's not just until you get it out. Although I'm not sure that it has to be that way. Who says? In Hilchos Shabbos, there's a fascinating question. This is the kind of question that Shlomo you should like. I'm pouring into a kli rishon, into a kli sheni from a kli rishon. At what point does the water in the receptacle become a kli sheni? Do you understand the question? Yechiel, you got the
Why
question?
not immediately?
That wasn't that.
So I'm asking while it's still midair.
No. Wrong picture. It's pouring down and it's spreading out. Right now, you just have a puddle. It didn't hit the sides of the kli sheni yet. Is it a kli sheni?
Yes,
Why is that?
because it's inside the kli sheni.
Okay. Now, I'm pouring it onto a board that's on a slant. Is it a kli sheni when it's over here?
You're assuming that the board is a kli?
I just answered my question. I think a board is a kli, right?
It's a katafris. Huh?
We're not learning Tyrus now. We're learning Shabbos. Is that called a kli sheni?
Mikvaot is in Taurus. But is it called in the Kli?
No, he's asking. The Rav is asking if it's a cliche. Yeah.
Wait. One second. If there would be over here, if there would be over here a stop, and if the water's only got to over here, you would say it's a cliche. Now everybody's happy. It's over here and never hit this wall. Why should it be a cliche?
Isn't it a cliche as soon as it hits that wall?
That's what I asked.
I would think so.
If the whole idea of a cliche is that it's cooling it off, right?
Right.
So, by being transferred to another entity, so it's getting cooled by that process.
So does it have to be on three sides, on one side, or on two sides?
I have no idea.
Okay, that's
one side.
You know, if I would be pouring into a funnel, and then that funnel would be going into a bottle, the bottle would be a kli shlishi? Isn't this what you dreamed about when you're learning Hilchos Shabbos?
But I know that there are those who say that if you leave a ladle in the soup, right?
There it became part of the pot. Different subject. Right. That's different subject. Anyways, there's a machlokas on this issue. I know, Shaffer, you're going to say that. You know I was going to say that. But there's a steer in the Ramah on this subject, and there's a Pri Megadim. There's a lot of discussion on this issue. This case, what they're talking about is when your pot spills over and it's gorer. There, the lashon is zochel ala tanur. That's cold and touches something else. What's the status when it touches something else? That's the question when it's speaking about, which is very negea. This happens all the time in our day kitchens. Anyways, the idea is, according to some, that the walls of the klisheni affect it. So you can very well understand that you have to have it being rising, that you have three walls affecting it in order for it to have that negative effect, possibly. According to others, it's even as long as they're still pouring, it's called a kli rishon. That's still classed as a rishon. It's only after you stop pouring that's when it becomes a klisheni. There's no shortage of opinions, as in everything. Okay. Anyways, so the avik, as I could have thought, Bemis, I could have thought that as long as it's on the bottom, then that's called it's there. It eventually will be held up by the side walls when other water comes there. Why shouldn't I consider it in the pot, in the ambatya? I would have thought that it should be considered in the ambatya, but I saw some achronim that say it has to be that the avik is raised. I'm just pointing out that nekuda, which I believe that there's actually a machlokes achronim on that subject. Now, what is the understanding of that idea? So the understanding of that idea is that a revius is the minimum shear for a mikvah. We said they were mavatal a revius. What were they mavatal a revius for? That you have to toivel in arboim so. Possibly, according to some achronim, they weren't mevatel a revius in as much as that it's called a shir mikvah that shuvim can't possibly. You know, really, a revius is a full mikvah. It's 100% a good mikvah. So, the halacha should be if you have gimel lugim before you have a revius of mikvah. So here, according to some achronim, the Mishnah Achrona says that the pshat is that they never took away the halacha of revius in regard to shu'uvim pasling a mikvah.
Shuvim passing a mikvah when you're filling up a mikvah and the shuvim in there first, not
Right.
pouring. Right. Okay.
Right. Yeah, but right. But here we have that the reverse is there first. That's basically what happens. Right. So now it becomes the incumbent. And that's why that will be the halacha. Okay. Rabbi Elazar Tzaddik Rabbi Kabel Avik Kolshu Apostle, as long as the Avik is Makabel Kolshu, that's enough. Why? Because there's a simple meaning. It's simple halacha that it has the halacha of a mikvah that has shuvim in it, and all the water is on top of the avik, and therefore it's possible. Now, there's another halacha, and this is the bridge between this halacha and the halachas we said beforehand, which I would like to focus on. If you have a mikvah of megishamim that doesn't have a boimsa, next to a mikvah of she'uvim, and there's a shoferes hanod between them. Does the mikvah of she'uvim become, does the mikvah of megishamim become pasul or not?
What do you have?
What do we start with? We started with a mikvah of shuvim. No,
I have a mikvah of 20 saw of shuvim. Al yado, I have a mikvah of 20 saw of megishamim. And I make a connection between them of a shoferes hanod. What is the status now of the mikvah of megishamim? Shefer, why are you smiling?
I'm amazed. That's a beautiful question. I wonder why we have to wait until the sixth parak to ask such a question. It's brilliant.
What's the question?
Which way does it go? Left to right or right to left?
But how could it be? You can't be metaher she'uvim without a mikvah of memsa.
So why are you even asking the question?
I want to know. I only asked one question. I said, what's the status of the mikvah of megishamim? I didn't ask what's the status of the mikvah of shuvim.
I think it's status quo.
Why is that?
Because you don't have gimel lugin of she'uvin going into the mikvah of the geshamim.
What do you have? You're 100% right. What do you have?
They're touching each other, but that's it. Nothing else is happening.
We had this in Mishnah Gimel.
What did we have in Mishnah Gimel?
When you have the she'uvim in between, there's 20
Yeah, the 20 and 20.
and 20 on the other, and the she'uvim in between. It says mikvahs k'moshe you. It stays the same.
So right. So now there's a difference in that Mishnah, this Mishnah, which the Achronim are busy with. That's very good. But we're going to. I want to get there. Let's try to get there. So, but the answer to the question is that we say mikvah. It's a mikvah. The halacha is that you have to have shalosh lugin shenafol l'toich. And over here, it wasn't nafal l'toich. Iruv mikvayis does not make it l'toich. Okay, Shefer. Now my answer to you is obvious, which is not my answer. What's the difference if it's minatzad or it's be'emtza? For it to be l'toich, it has to be surrounding it. But if you have the she'uvim only on the side, possibly it's not called l'toich, and it doesn't bother us. Isn't that like a brilliant answer?
Very.
Okay, it's not mine.
What are we talking about here? What's the litoch and vitzad here?
The halacha is that you have gimel lugin shenofel l'toich. Yeah. So that means that it became one. But if you see it as different bodies, then we don't see it as one. What did you eat, Parrots? That face.
Huh? So when they have the kosher mikvah is connected to the puzzle one, and it makes the puzzle one kosher.
Yeah.
So what did it do?
What did it do?
Why do we see
Not
this?
May-
one?
It's
It
not
may- it-
litoch.
That's correct.
So how did it become kosher?
Because we look at it as one body, but it's not mitoch. It's taka not mitoch.
It's one
That's
body, but not mitoch. That's
Correct.
contradictory.
No, I said even better than that over here. When you have it on the side in the same ambati, in the same
Enclosure.
thank you. In the same enclosure, it's also not called mitoch. You don't even have to come onto a sheferes hanoid of a pipe connecting between two things. It has to be mitoch. And not only that, I'm going to tell you even more. Parrots, we learned a Mishnah about when you toivel a kli inside a kli in a mikveh, after mikveh is on its side, we look at it as she'uvim inside a mikveh.
If the klee's on its side.
If the kli is on its side, only if the kli is standing up. That means you can have she'uvim inside a mikveh that's even mitoch. It goes both ways. No, the halacha is not. It is not. There's no such thing that it's one connected body of water. Did I get everybody lost? It's beautiful. It's mamish. I was so smiling today. I don't know why everybody's such sad faces on. Are you here, Shlomo? You here? Yeah. Okay. So this is the aside of the Mishnah. What's wrong, Yechiel?
Because nefila l'toich, that's when somebody throws shuvim into a mikveh chaser, right? Is that the psul that we're dealing with here? I thought we're dealing with that you're not allowed to, if you fill a mikveh that already has shuvim in there.
Same thing. It's the same thing. It's as long as you have gimel before you have a boim saw. Doesn't make a difference really which way you start off.
So they're both coming from the same gzera.
Same concept. According to some, the difference between this Mishnah and the other Mishnah, and why over here there's halacha of Ravius, and in the Mishnah Parrots quoted, you need to have a boim saw, is because there you had the gimel already, and our Mishnah speaking about it without gimel. As we did not discuss in our Mishnah, I guess I'll mention it now. We did not discuss in our Mishnah how much she'uvim there is in that ovik.
Well, I hope there's at least gimelugin. If not, what's the problem?
Oh, well, many Rishonim disagree, and they say that even though, because it's called a mikveh that's built on shuvim, it's built on water of a. It's not the gimel. It's the concept that a mikveh is built on.
That's the germ ala kli. That's the idea.
Yeah.
That sounds
All
like
the
two different
mikveh,
things.
All the water is called in there.
That sounds like a separate thing.
It is, but all the water is called that. It's on there, and mamela, it's all called shuvim.
What's a separate thing? What do you mean by that, Paris?
It's a separate kli. That's
saying
attached.
what? There's one psul of nigroim ala kli, and there's another one that it's shuvim. Why? How are they the same thing?
Well, what's the problem being nigroim al kli?
It's a psul.
What's a psul?
That's nigroim al kli.
Why is this? Maybe we should find that for me in the Jastro. Where did it say that psul?
Jastro doesn't a posek, but
okay, I guess you are. What's the psul?
I love it. We had it
The
before.
psul is shuvim.
Is it because
No,
it's
the lashon of the Bartanura was umayim hagrum al gabe kelim hare elu psulim. What does that mean?
Doesn't say, but it's possible mishum shuvim. Even though the ovik doesn't hold, I'll just write. I'll lead to you the lechem. Okay.
Why doesn't he say it's
listen? I'll Beis Yosef. Heavy pirish harash varash. The ma'avik shehu kli be'emtza pasol mishum shekol yemei hambati nigrorim olam. Ulafiza afilu eno machzik gimolugim pasol kol hamikvah. The English, I just said this over Balpeh about a minute and a half ago, right? Because the whole mikvah is called shuvim, even though the ovik only holds a revius.
He doesn't say she'uvim.
Okay, whatever psul you want to call it.
No, that's right. That's the whole thing. Was it's a different psul? It sounds like.
He says shov, by the way. The Bartanura does say shov. Parrots, he does say it.
He says shov.
He says it in the next one, Matzad. He says it's not shov.
Okay.
So, in other words, this is a fantastic idea, right? You know, you don't even have to have Gimel Lugim Shuvim to have Gimel Lugim Shuvim. No, it's a psul. That's what I said. This is a very lumdish Mishnah. It's a psul. We're not talking about that you have.
We had that a few prakim ago, didn't we? If you pour into a mikvah that already had some water in it.
Yeah, we had such a kind of halachas.
And it said there was a machlokas, see if it's less than gimel lugim.
That I don't recall there was such a machlokes. Question of what came to where first. All right.
Who did you just read? What was the name of the
lechem?
Lechem v'simla.
Okay.
This was a sefer written by the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch on Hilchos Mikvaot. I mean, Hilchos Nida and Mikvaot. Okay.
That's a defect in the construction of the mikvah.
Yeah, correct. No, it's a lumdish gimel lugim. That's the bottom line. But it's a machlokes hapoiskim. It's not clear to everybody. But I think it's not fair that the Rishonim didn't tell us how much, we assume that they will give a lugim. Why? Because, we're lazy.
Wait,
but really,
the Mishnah is Perek Beis Daled that we're talking about.
is Aleph. Perek Beis. Maybe we should end up with Nimtza Chaser. Kol Tashnas Agal and Fei Shasar which is Avon parts. Okay, more do I want between Chamura. Perek Beis Daled.
Perek Beis Daled, yeah.
Avelazar Ibn Ravia Samayim Shuvim Batchila. Yeah, Beseder. Paislan Esamik. Vashar Shalugim Al Pnei Amoy V'Chachamor and Bemetchil V'Mesor Shuvim Yolugim. Ma Torah Tzeh. What do you want from this Mishnah?
So here, do we have Revis Mayim Batchila or we don't?
No, we're going according to the Chachamim that you need Gimel Lugim.
Right,
yeah. But we're saying a different Akuda. This whole Mishnah, Echshahu, the psul is a the psul is either a Revius of Shuvim or Gimel Lugim of Shuvim. I'm telling you a different Akuda. You could have a psul of Gimel Lugim even when you don't have Gimel Lugim. Like our Mishnah. The whole Ovik can only hold one lug, and you have a psul of Gimel Lugim Shuvim. This Mishnah is just telling you how many lugim of water you need to passel of Shuvim to passel the mikvah. Our Mishnah is telling you even when you don't have that share, you have the psul of Gimel Lugim.
Well, that's the Mishnah after that in Perek Beis of the Shlosh Gumos.
So I'm just telling you, and over there, that's true. And on that Mishnah, the Achrayim say that the reason why they didn't think that Mishnah, this Mishnah, is because you already had Gimel Lugim in one place, and you have to passel it there. You need to have the boim saw before you get to the gimulugim, because you have a psul of gimulugim. Here you don't have gimulugim, and therefore it's enough even to have a revius of ksherim. That's mamish what the achronim say. Okay.
I didn't understand because this Mishnah that the parents pointed out is talking about if either a revius or gimulugin, right? It's machlekes Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim. How much you need? How much shuvin has to fall in first
in order to pass?
In order that afterwards you add all the shamim in the world.
That's not with our Mishnah. That's not with our Mishnah. That's a share gimulugim or revius. How much do you need of shuvim to passel a mikvah betchila?
Right, but we're also talking about a piece of betchila here, no?
Yeah, but it's nothing to do with the subject. We're talking our mikvah has less than revius, the ovik also. The subject of our Mishnah is even when you have way less than the shear, it's still passel shuvim. That Mishnah is talking about what the regular normal shear of shuvim is.
So why is it passel here? I'm not getting it then.
Because it's a whole mikvah is called shuvim.
That makes the whole mikvah shuvim.
What?
That makes the whole mikvah shuvim.
Yes. Because kol, I don't know how to translate it exactly, but kol hamayim nigrorim al yodam. Even though the kli can't hold all that money. It's the maimid.
So basically it just makes the whole mikvah into not a mikvah, into a shuvim.
Can. But if it's on the side,
then it doesn't for some reason.
So we gave a reason to it.
Yeah.
We said because being that we don't see it as one place, so the fact that just because you pull the plug on it, that's not enough of a reason.
What if it's 3/4 on to the side?
It has to be that there's the mikvah water surrounds the ovik. That's the criteria. Doesn't make a difference according to this. It doesn't. This is the question Sheffer asked in the beginning. Doesn't make a difference if it's here or here or here, as long as it's not here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have a great night and try to stay safe. Okay.
Sorry.